All right, now I did get to watch some Rice football last night. Focused on the Rice offense. We'll get to the Rice defense probably tomorrow, but I focused on the Rice offense and just how they would try to attack Texas. I can't imagine. I know they want to run the ball, and the offensive coordinator, Tuiasosopo, right? He's the offensive coordinator actually has been there for now 2 years. He wants to run the ball, and he talks about it, how they want to be a physical running team. But lately, they've been trending in some of the different games that I watched and some of the games that I went through and reviewed. They have been trending at times throwing the football a little bit more. And I think against Texas, I think they might try to throw the football early on. Now, not vertically downfield, because they have JT Daniels, who is the highest rated signee in Rice program history at quarterback. All right, a true 5-star, which Rice just doesn't really get those guys. I do think early on you may see them try to use the passing game as an extension of the running game, or the passing game to open up the running game. And that could be screens, the quick game, slants and hitches, things they know Texas is willing to give up. It could be, bootlegs, waggles, just easy completions. The RPO game, which is a combination of the quick game and the run game. I can't imagine, that they're going to go into this game Rice, because the biggest advantage Texas has against Rice is the lines of scrimmage. That is the biggest advantage they have. And if you're Rice, you're trying your best to try to minimize that disadvantage that you're at with the lines of scrimmage. If you go in there just trying to play bully ball against Texas and run the football, I cannot imagine. Well, maybe you are. Maybe you're just waving the white flag. To me, if Rice goes in there and just decides, no, we're going to run the football against Texas. By the way, Texas, that's the strength of the defense, right? The strength of the Texas defense last year, they were 23rd in yards per rush allowed. They were, I believe they were 33rd around there in rushing yards per game allowed. We know that was the identity of the defense. The weakness last year of the Texas defense was actually the pass defense. They were 90th in pass defense. They were 100th in completion percentage allowed. They gave up inside leverage a lot, which I yelled and screamed about a lot on the airwaves. If you're going to attack Texas, you really do it through the air. Doing it on the ground is kind of banging your head against a brick wall, especially a program that, like Rice, who doesn't have the hogs up front to do it. And I know some people are like, well, how can they pass protect too? Yeah, but there are schematic things you can do in pass protection that can hide your disadvantage in pass pro. You can bootleg and waggle. You can just kind of cut off the defense. Bootleg, waggle, which they do, and roll out and get the quarterback outside the pocket or move the pocket. The RPO is basically the quick game and the run game. The RPO neutralizes pass rush too. You can run the quick game. You can run screens and things of that nature. So there are things you can do in the passing game early on to cover up the fact that you don't have superb pass protection. And to me, if I'm game planning, I game plan based on what are my strengths and what are the weaknesses of the opponent. Texas's strength on defense is their rush defense. Their weakness is their pass defense. The Rice Owls with Tuiasosopo as the offensive coordinator, they actually are one of the better pass offenses that they've had in program history. The Rice passing game in 2021 had more yards than any Rice team since 2016. They did that with 4 different starting quarterbacks. And in 2022, they were 65th in the country in passing yards per game. That's the most by a Rice team since 2008. And now they have JT Daniels. They did lose a lot of targets in the passing game because they transferred and guys graduated. But Luke McCaffrey is their best player, and he is a wide receiver who switched from quarterback. I just got a feeling early on, just to try to inspire this team so that they fight at least for the first quarter against Texas and are not smothered and just, suffocated. I think they might try to throw it a little bit.
Yeah.
I think they're going to try to throw it a little bit. Yeah, test the secondary a little bit.
Yeah, it's the best team Bloomgren's had. I think there's no doubt. You've documented that through their recruiting efforts and the additions. And he's been there 5 or 6 years now. And I would also say that their goal at Rice is pretty clear. They want to make a bowl game. Like they want to compete a little bit in the AAC. And
they went to a bowl game last year, but they didn't earn it.
Right? They kind of
were giving it. Well, they didn't earn it.
They like to get to that
progress report stuff.
6-7 win.
They
plateau.
were 5 wins. Yeah,
they'd like to get to past that, earn their way into a bowl game, and show that progress into their new conference now in the AAC. But, as we said, they were picked in the preseason. In the 14-team AAC, they were picked to finish 12th. But, that's the media poll, and who knows? We haven't seen anybody play yet. And we'll get to see them on Saturday. With JT Daniels, an experienced quarterback, and a coach who's established it, they can at least give Texas a good look here. They can at least give Texas, this isn't playing. Remember when they played Texas opened the season with UTEP a few years ago, and it was just non-competitive. It was just, there's nothing there. This will be a competitive Rice team for a little while. A veteran quarterback who can try to pick apart some weaknesses maybe he sees. And Mike Bloomgren is an offensive coach. So we'll see. I think it's a good just an early barometer for the Longhorns to see where they are, because they're going to come in playing hard. It's a team out of the state of Texas, and they do have some experienced players. So I like the matchup. Obviously, it ramps up significantly the following week, but that's what you want. You want someone that'll test you just a little bit.
They will, because their offense it's a modern, multiple, malleable offense. Well, I mean, malleable. It can solve problems the defense presents, but they do everything. I mean, 11 personnel, 12, 13, 21 personnel. They run empty formation, condensed sets, compressed formations, bunch formations. They do a good job of compressing sets, condensing sets. That's basically having the receivers close to the line of scrimmage. When you talk about condensing compressed sets, bunch formations, clustered wide receivers together, this disallows defensive backs to reroute the wide receiver. They instead have to read and react to the release of the wide receiver. And that gives the Rice wide receivers, which usually are, physically disadvantaged because they're going up against better talent, they can get a free release off the line of scrimmage and at least be able to get into their route. They do a lot of that. And Texas last year, honestly, were poor at being able to read and react to those routes rather than reroute. Remember Texas, the bunch formations that Bama ran and that Iowa State ran versus Texas, they completed upwards of 80% of their passes when they were targeting bunch formations. That is something from last year that Texas didn't, to me, that Texas could be exploited with, was bunch formations, because their defensive backs weren't really great communicating and passing off those routes in coverage. Rice, although not elite talent, but as E said, they're going to test some of that. They're going to test your ability to communicate. You're not overwhelmed athletically, but they call their offense intellectual brutality. So they're going to try to catch Texas off guard there. You got to take Luke McCaffrey out of the game. He's the only real threat they have on offense, and they try to get him the ball in every way they can. They put him in a slot. That's 70% of the time. They put him out wide. They put him, in the backfield as a wildcat quarterback and just snap it to him. They find any way they can to get Luke McCaffrey the ball. It's easier to take him away now. Bradley Rosner, who was one of their leading receivers, transferred to North Carolina State. Isaiah Esdale, another good receiver for them, and Cedric Patterson both graduated. They're done. He pretty much is the sole proven commodity in the passing game, and he works the middle of the field. I mean, how about this? 83% basically of his targets are in 19 yards or less, so he doesn't go deep a lot. And if you're talking about in between the numbers, 70+% of his targets are in between the numbers. And that's short, intermediate, and deep in between the numbers. I'm looking at all of them. And Pro Football Focus has his grades when he's targeted in between the numbers, 92, 91, and 90. He's superb work in the middle of the field. 69% completion percentage when they target him in the middle of the field. And if you go look at the forced missed tackles, he's got 12 of them when he's targeted in the short. So basically short means 0 to 10 yards in between the numbers. He's got 12 forced missed tackles. So those are short crossing routes. He gets the ball and boom, he can get yak after that. So you got to make sure you can tackle this dude. So in between the numbers, that's where he does all of his damage. You don't even really have to worry about him out wide. He's in the slot, and they can pretty much just bracket him and double team him, because I think Texas should trust their corners one-on-one on the outside with Rice receivers. If they don't, we got bigger issues, ladies and gentlemen.
We got bigger issues. And remember, we will be here to diagnose those issues on Monday, Labor Day. When you're not laboring, we will be here talking Texas Rice and the weekend of college football. Quick reminder on that front.